Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Emily and thank you so much for being here with me today. So I wanted to make this video to give you sort of an overview of the skeleton of this whole series. I wanted to give you an idea of the reasons why I'm doing this, my background with jazz, and sort of a layout of the actual videos themselves. So the beginning of this channel isn't actually this video. This whole series started when I was in 7th grade, about 7 years ago. I started playing with the high school jazz band when I was in 7th grade. I was playing piano and doing a little bit of singing, but I didn't really get into the singing until I was in high school. Um, and at the time that I joined the jazz band, that is pretty much when my love for jazz and my interest in studying jazz came alive. I started to study jazz piano with my piano teacher. I started listening to a lot of different jazz singers and gaining some influence from them and learning how to sing jazz in order to start singing with the jazz band myself. And as I was learning jazz, as I was learning the music and learning the ways to play and sing it, I was also learning about, I was also becoming interested in learning more about these women who I was getting so much influence from. And so this video, this series is sort of in search of that interest. It's pursuing that interest of knowing more about these women, because the women that I was studying, I was finding that they were famous for having beautiful voices, but they weren't really famous for other things about them that I think are equally or even more important. So I called this channel The Ladies of Song because I've found these 4 women who I think were transformative in the world of jazz. And the channel really is meant to explore jazz and those women who changed it, as well as to kind of search for an alternative definition for feminism through the lens of these women. So the early to mid 1900s female African American musical lens. And like I said, this wasn't an area that these women were spotlighted for. You would probably never call these women feminists today just by knowing their names. But just because they didn't, pick at the White House or anything like that, that doesn't make them any less of feminists. So this series is going to have a very specific layout, actually, just to keep things organized and to make sure everybody knows where they are and what they're watching. But this series is going to be broken up into 4 sections, one for each woman that I've researched. There's going to be a video for Bessie Smith, Billie Holiday, Sarah Vaughan, and Ella Fitzgerald. And then in those sections, we're going to have 3 parts, where there's going to be a biography video, a method video, and a playlist of songs. So the bio is actually not going to be a complete comprehensive biography of each woman. It's going to be more of a general overview of their life and career and kind of zeroing in on those aspects of her life and career that make her a different kind of feminist, that make her stand out from her compatriots, that make her atypical for jazz singers, especially female jazz singers of that time. The second video, the method video, is where I'm going to take an element or a technique in jazz that this woman was famous for using, and I'm going to break it down using definitions and examples. And these videos are intended to be user-friendly to non-musicians, so I know that if you don't have any sort of experience in music, you've never picked up an instrument, you've never studied music theory, it may be a little daunting, the idea that I'm going to be talking about techniques using definitions that you maybe have never heard of before, but I did my very best to the best of my explaining capabilities to break it down in the simplest way possible so that everyone can come away from those videos knowing a little bit more than they did before. And then the third part is going to be where I compile a collection of songs that were sung by those women using that technique or element. Because in my opinion, the best way to learn and understand something is to see examples of it. And this is also the best way for you to actually start to have some listening experience with jazz if you've never listened to jazz before. Because these really are some of jazz's most famous and best voices. And that's, I think, really going to heighten your experience. But that pretty much wraps it up for today's video. I will see you in my first topic video. I'm going to be starting with Bessie Smith, but I will see you next time. Thank you so much for being here again. Bye.